I've been away for about a week camping on my own up around the northern Victoria, southern New South Wales, primarily around the Murray, and I've been camping in the rooftop tent, so it's probably good as opportunity as any to give it a bit of a review. It's a Motop brand. It's kind of like an Alu-Cab type, Bushman or Bush company type knockoff, clamshell, hinged at the front, lifts at the back, gas struts, all that sort of stuff. How does it rate? I'm actually really happy with it. I paid about $2,800 I think I paid for it. Picked it up direct from them, but I think they've got agents and places around Australia where you can buy it from. It's a complete Chinese import, but the quality of it's actually really good. It comes together, but none of the catches and stuff like that. There's gas struts and everything are on it, but it comes in a box. All the catches and latches and things like that are in a bag. You've got to fit those yourself. It's relatively easy. Weighs 60 kilos, which is significantly lighter than any other rooftop tent on the market that I'm aware of. It's fully aluminium construction. It's got a rubber seal all the way around. We've at home hosed the bejesus out of it to see if we could get any water inside it. We couldn't. I've hosed it down. I've left it for a couple of minutes just for the water to run off, the excess water to run off. So I'll take these bars off. I just want to give it a bit of a shake. Because that's what you would do if you're out camping. You're not going to close it up with water on it. You want to give yourself the best opportunity for it not to leak. So I'll give it a bit of a belt. I'll take these bars off. I'm not going to close it all the way up. I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it like that for now. Alright, it's been about half an hour since we wet the canvas. The sun's come out, and it's pretty warm in the sun, so it's probably a bit hot inside the roof as well. I stuck my hand in there just before, and there is water in there because I can feel it. I'll just give us that camera. Now, I'll climb up and we'll see what's going on. Yeah. All right, there's a fair amount of moisture there. A lot of moisture there, and a lot of moisture there. So that's come through the zipper, where you'd pretty much expect it to come through. There's no moisture pretty much anywhere else. There's a tiny bit on that side, same where the zipper is, and so there's a bit of moisture on the sleeping bag, which would also line up with those zippers. So now that zipper material is quite damp, and that water pooling would obviously come through that zip, which is not actually all that surprising, to be honest. Yeah, back in the tent, buggering around. The zipper was the problem where the moisture was getting in onto the mattress when we hosed it down. So I use this stuff, Nick Wax. It's pretty good. I've used it for many years and always been great. So I don't use the spray bottle, I'll tip it out into a jar, use a paintbrush to put it on, makes it a bit easier for me. So what I've done is this material of the tent is kind of like rubber backed. It's canvas on the outside, ripstop canvas with the little squares in it,
and on the back of it it's got like a rubberized coating. The breathability of that, not convinced, but that's neither here nor there. Waterproofing is more important than breathability in this kind of environment, for me anyway. Others might disagree, but whatever. So what I've done is just painted along that zipper just this material here, because that's where the water is wicking through. It's getting wet through the stitching. The stitching is pulling that moisture through and into that zipper tape. So that's all I've done, just painted it on. Yeah, this stuff here is just not waterproof, and as far as I'm aware, you can't get waterproof zipper. It's always going to be treated with something, and in a tent, I've never seen a tent that's had the zipper treated. So I've done it to all of my zippers on all my tents and on the caravan as well. So it's just another one of those things. Takes, I don't know, 10 minutes to do it, and that should have pretty much solved the issue of the water getting through. So it's just a matter of basically just painting it on, and that's pretty much it. That's probably a tiny bit too much, but anyway, you get the idea. So any kind of waterproofing, I like Nick Wax. It's water. Strangely enough, it's water based, which is probably a bit odd, but anyway. Tested that. This stuff has a tape on it, so that makes that waterproof. And then once that's sealed, that'll make that done as well.
We've been away. We've camped in it in like a rainstorm. Ironically, that was in the backyard over Easter. We were doing a camp out in the backyard, and it belted down, and the wind ripped through the backyard like a small hurricane, and it was really good. It's held up really well. It's not breathable canvas. It's ripstop canvas, quite lightweight canvas, but it's not breathable. It's got some kind of, I don't know whether it's a paint-on kind of, it's got a rubbery feel to the canvas on the inside. So it's not breathable. It's, I don't know, it's probably good and bad. You can touch the sides and no water will come in, regardless of how much water or rain it's copping on the outside. The rain won't come in because it's basically a rubberized canvas. But the downside of that is, I suppose, it doesn't breathe. So you've got to kind of, I leave one of the side windows cracked at night, regardless of what the temperature is. It was -5 here last night, and I still had 2 of the windows cracked open. You still get condensation in these things, which is I think a problem across the board. I don't think certainly not unique to this tent. The roof of this thing, or the ceiling of this thing inside, is a hard surface. There's no carpet or material on it, and I suspect if you stuck some kind of material on it, it would probably resolve that problem. I know the James Baroud style tents have a sort of like a boot material, like your carpet stuff, boot liner, very thin carpet on the top of them. I suspect that probably wouldn't condensate on it. I don't know. I think the Alu-Cab has a material on the top as well. This it'd be easy enough to do. It's just a square roof, so it'd be easy enough to stick some boot material on the top of it, stop that problem or limit that problem. One of the other big issues with all rooftop tents is condensation. Lying on the mattress is the solid floor will draw the moisture through the mattress, and it will condensate on the bottom, and it will wet the mattress. They all do it. This does it, and all of them will, unless you've got some kind of vents underneath it. You can buy anti-condensation mats for these things. Some brands, insultingly, don't supply one, but they'll sell you one after, which that just does my head in. Like, what a pack of turds. If it condensates and they have a condensation mat with their brand stuck on it, the bloody mat should be in the friggin' tent when you buy it. It's annoying that this condensates, but they don't offer a mat. that's just stiff shit for you. But you know, if I was going to buy a rooftop tent from one of the other manufacturers, and I didn't know about condensation, and then I went back and said, this thing's like wet, it's mouldy, there's water getting in it, whatever, and they went, that's just condensation, champ. But here you can buy this mat with our brand on it for $200. I'd be pretty pissed at that. That's, in my opinion, that's not good enough. Anyway, this doesn't have anything, so this is kind of the other end of the scale. It's like stiff shit. Put up with it or don't buy it. So what I did, I'm not paying $200 for an anti-condensation mat, which is just a piece of friggin' plastics, like spun plastic, like fairy floss. Cocky's buzzing around. So what I did to get around the condensation issue in my tent was basically steer away from the overpriced bullshit anti-condensation mats that are available on the market, and put a piece of 25 by 25 plastic trellis from Bunnings, just a sheet of that. I think it's 4 foot, the rolls are 4 foot high by 3 meters or something like that long. So 2 halves. So from 1400 across, it's 1200, 1400 across, and trim it to size and sit that underneath the mattress, and that has worked an absolute treat. It's enough to keep the mattress off the base by probably about 5 mil maybe, and it doesn't get wet. The mattress stays dry, and when I got up this morning I had a quick look, and there was moisture on the floor, but the mattress was dry, so that's a pretty cheap alternative, and you could use that in any rooftop tent, not just this one. This one's got another benefit of this one is the track around the outside, full circumference of the base, full circumference of the lid is a track where you'll see where those brackets and all the shiny bits are attached. They slide in and bolt in. I think it's a 6 mil bolt will go into that track, so you can mount whatever the hell you like. You can mount another ladder, brackets on the side to get side entry, light bars on the front of it, whatever. The fishing rod holders, roof racks, you can buy roof racks for them, or you could make them simply enough with a bit of aluminium angle, some 6 mil bolts bolted into the side, put a piece of aluminium bar on the top, and there's your roof racks, or go and buy them from them for a couple of $100. The roof itself will hold, I think, 30 kilos, or the strut, sorry, will hold 30 kilos. You can walk on the top of it. I'm 100 kilos and I can walk around on it, no problem, but the struts are obviously the thing that limits what it will lift. So 30 kilos. You'll see people driving around with semi-flexible solar panels stuck to the roof. That's a completely different video. Do not put them things on. The solar panels require airflow, and they generate heat, and they need to bleed that heat off. And the semi-flexible panels do not have the capacity to bleed the heat off, and you stick them to a roof, like an black aluminium roof that heats up so hot that you can fry an egg on it. You are asking for trouble by putting solar panels on that thing. So if you're going to go down that path, which is for another time to talk about that, put the roof bars on it and put a panel on top of the roof bars to get that airflow underneath it. But you could probably mount a spare tyre on it, not a wheel, but I carry tyres and bead breakers and tyre repair kits and stuff, so I don't carry spare wheels anyway. So my tyre, 15 kilos, that would sit on the roof, no problem. All right, one of the other problems with this thing, probably the biggest criticism of the Motop tent, is the black aluminium. The aluminium, when it's in full sun, that aluminium is so friggin' hot on the outside that you could fry an egg on it. And that's not unique to the tent. The bull bar on my car is black. It gets hot. Everything black gets hot. So kind of, I mean, it looks pretty cool being a black rooftop tent. There's no aluminium checker plate on it, which to me looks cheap. I don't like the look of that. But that's just a personal thing. I think this sleek, flat, black, matte aluminium looks better than checker plate. But it comes with a downside because it's so freaking hot. You cannot, 20 degrees in full sun, it won't get to 20 today, it'll only probably get to about 15, but in 20 degrees, which is a comfortable day, that lid is so hot you cannot leave your hand on it. It will burn you. And and then the heat transfers through the composite lid, which doesn't seem to have any insulation, and the heat that's generated inside the tent is horrendous. That's a real downside with this thing. I think the Alu-Cab is black, so it will be just as hot on the outside. So I suppose it depends on what sort of insulation's within the roof composite. But this thing, yeah, shit, it is, yeah, astounding. It is freaking astounding.
That is freaking hot. The top of that is hot, is too hot to actually leave your hand on. Certainly in the middle, and oh Jesus, that's pretty hot.
So I'll cut a photo in as I'm yakking. So what I've done to alleviate that problem is I've put a layer of vinyl, the vinyl that you use for stickers on advertising on, you know, cars and whatever, that kind of vinyl. Just stuck a sheet of vinyl onto the top of it, and that problem's gone. So the vinyl's, I don't know, what's the vinyl worth? 10 bucks, 20 bucks, stick it on top, bang, problem's gone. It's jerking around with this, with the black aluminium, the white vinyl and whatever, and that, just buggering around with it and putting the vinyl on it. The difference in heat, just in colour alone, is astounding. The heat without the black aluminium is so freaking hot you cannot touch it. And on the same day, with the sheet of just thin vinyl, like the same sort of crap that you cover your kids' school books with, anything like that, as long as it's white, the temperature of it is just barely warm. And it's the same between the bonnet of the car and the bull bar. Grab hold of the bull bar, it's friggin' hot. Touch the white bonnet, cool. So anyway, so that solves that problem. That was the only kind of, I wouldn't say deal breaker, but it was up there. The heat that this thing was generating was like, holy shit, this is not great. But anyway, that vinyl solved that problem. And going back to what I started on originally, are you prepared to pay, or am I prepared to pay $2,800 because the roof gets hot and I might need to stick some vinyl on it? No, I'm not. I'm not going to pay an extra 20. Well, I think with the Alu-Cab it's black anyway, but I don't know what the colours of all of them are, but if they're black, same problem with touch heat. So a bit of vinyl on the top is fine. You could paint it as well before you put it on the roof. Vinyl paint, rubber paint, enamel paint, wouldn't matter what it was. As long as it's white, it's not going to get hot and you can't see it. And in my case, when I'll cut a photo in and you'll see it on the front of it. You can't see it in the video, obviously, because you're behind it. But from the front, you'll see the white. And it actually looks, I think it looks pretty good on my car because my car is white. So it ties in quite nicely. But when it's close, you can't see it anyway. Yeah, a couple of motorbikes just shot through camp at warp factor 1,000. But anyway, flaps. Back flap on the Motop hangs from the top and zips to the bottom. Other tents attached to the bottom and zip to the top. That might give you privacy, but it also gives you a flap that either has to hang down over the ladder or put inside the tent while you're climbing in and out. So if it's wet and the conditions are a bit shitty, the last thing you want is a piece of canvas hanging over the top of your ladder while you're trying to negotiate getting in and out, and or putting that wet canvas inside on top of your bedding. And so for me, this is a far better option, having it attached at the top. Having it attached at the bottom, to me, just seems idiotic. It's just not, on a good day, it's probably really nice. But when the conditions turn to shit, that's the last thing that you want. So the compromise would be, I don't get that beautiful view of the river when I wake up in the morning, well, stiff shit. I also don't get the water and crap in the tent trying to get in and out, or stepping over and negotiating a flap that's hanging over rungs of the ladder. So for me, that's probably a bit of a no-brainer. That's a massive bonus, I think, in this tent. The mattress is 70mm. It's quite hard. Some of the other ones, particularly the King's one, is the mattress in them are so thin. It's basically a car wash sponge. So as soon as you lie on it, you're basically lying on the base of the tent. So if you, I think the hard lid King's one is quite firm, but the other ones that you have to buy for like the swags and stuff like that, they're just rubbish. You have to buy a decent mattress, and unfortunately, foam, which is worth nothing, sells for a lot of money. So if you need to replace the mattress in one of these things, even though it's just a piece of foam which is almost worthless, when you try to buy one from somewhere like Clark Rubber or somewhere like that, you are going to pay a shitload of money for it. So whatever rooftop tent that you get, you need to make sure that the mattress that comes with it is adequate, because for $2,800 you're going to be spending over $100 to replace the mattress that's in it. So you're just going to add to the cost that you probably don't need. Another positive with the clamshell tent, which you probably don't get with the ones where the whole roof lifts up. I'm not sure with the Alu-Cab style, other Alu-Cab clamshell style tents, but certainly with this Motop tent, I can stand on my back bumper, I can pack the ladder up, put it in the back of the car, stand on my back bumper, and I can pack that whole tent up without moving off that back bumper. I don't need to shimmy along the sides of the tent like a friggin' monkey, tucking canvas in. It is very achievable and very easy to do from standing behind the tent. To me, that's a massive bonus, because my car's lifted and it's high anyway, so that tent's over 2,500 off the ground. So I would have to carry a ladder with me in order just to pack the tent up. So I can't comment on whether that's doable with your Alu-Cabs, Bush Company, Drifta type tents or branded tents. I don't know whether you can do it with them, but certainly with this one, very easy. I've never had to climb around the side. It's very easy to fold it up. The canvas being non-breathable, when you fold the tent up, if the canvas is wet, the water will not go through that canvas because it's not breathable. It's the kind of trade-off with the rubbery back comes into its own when you fold it up into a ball and it's wet and the lid's pressing down on it on top of your mattress and on your bedding if you decide to leave a sleeping bag in there. The last thing you want is a breathable canvas leaching water from the outside down onto the bed. With this, it just doesn't happen. With the other ones, I don't know. But this one with the rubber on it virtually can't happen. So that's a bonus. The ladder is pretty good. As I said, my car's the tent's 2,500 off the ground. I think you can probably see the ladder reaches. We're on a hill here, so we've got a dip behind the car. But normally the ladder just sits on the ground. But at the moment, because there's a bit of a dip underneath it, there's a piece of 30mm framing timber sitting on the ground, and the ladder's just sitting on that. Otherwise, the ladder would sit underneath my toe tongue. Still sit on the ground, but it's sit underneath the toe tongue, so just to get it away from the car a little bit. But on a normal day, that ladder is adequate for a 2,500 high rooftop tent. It's relatively stable. Felt a bit shitty when I first got it because I've never had a telescopic ladder before, but hey, I've been using it quite often and I've not had any problems with it. I have put skid tape on each of the rungs because I got up it in bare feet when it was raining, and it was just really slippery. I just thought, Dave, this is just a recipe for disaster. So I put yellow skid tape on the rungs so I don't slide off and land on my freaking skull. The spring-loaded bars and the awning at the back is not much further outside the back of the base of the tent. So although the water will run off it, it's probably only passing within 3 or 4 inches of the bottom of the tent. So it doesn't really, it protects the door. It doesn't protect you getting in and out, which I think the James Baroud ones have like a little awning that comes right out over your ladder and you can climb up on the side. But it hasn't really bothered me. I've just tied bit of, you probably see there's a bit of string tied to each of the eyelets on the bottom of the door, and it hangs on those wires and keeps it out of the way, and it's so I can get in and out of it underneath, and let it air out a bit without rolling that up. There's mesh on each of the flaps, 2 on the side, 1 on the back, midgy mesh. It's quite fine, so it'll be fine up north. Yeah, it's I'm really happy with it. It's a really good tent, and I wouldn't even describe it as a compromise. I think, in my opinion, it's a great standalone tent. If you want to compare it to other stuff on the market, the comparison, in my opinion, would be price. There's better things with this tent than there are on other tents, and there's better things on other tents than what this tent has. So they're not all equal, but then you take away the bad things that other tents have that this one is better with. That's great. They could probably solve that problem as well. And the other way around, the things that are missing on this tent can basically be solved as well. But what can't be solved is the half the price tag. So when you're comparing one good tent to another good tent, and this tent's half the price of this tent, to me it's a bit of a no-brainer. You're not buying a lesser product. This is a great product. It's just, the bonus is it's half the friggin' price. I don't think you can go past that. I can't go past it. Maybe if I lived in the friggin' thing, which would be highly unlikely, I don't know. I probably still wouldn't buy. Still wouldn't pay. I can't justify spending what, $5,000 or $6,000 on a friggin' tent sitting on my roof. That's nuts. Anyway, I hope that helps a bit. Cheers. Back to the nets.